Hello and welcome. My name is Alex Smith, and I'm one of the lecturing staff at the University of Plymouth in the marine science area. I'm going to talk to you today about our marine science programs, which are set out on this slide: ocean exploration and surveying, ocean science and marine conservation, oceanography and coastal processes. We also have an ocean science with foundation year, and we also run a minor pathway in ocean science in conjunction with geography and geology degrees. Marine science is one of those subjects that you don't normally study before you reach university. So I'm going to start this talk with just an introduction to the marine science area before then looking at the detail of the programs. So the first question is, well, what is a marine scientist? And as a marine scientist, what I'm going to do is just show you some video of fieldwork that I've been involved with myself over the last few years. But the main thing to draw attention to out of this is that all the work was carried out in groups of people. So all of these people could be broadly described as marine scientists. They're technologists, biologists, physicists, but all have a flavour of marine science around them. So the first clip is from off the west coast of Scotland, where we were using a remotely operated vehicle to sample the deep water corals that live about 1,000 metres below the seabed there. They need protecting, so we're understanding what transports their larvae between different locations. Second clip is from the British Indian Ocean Territory, the Chagos Archipelago, where we're studying the distribution of large marine animals, manta rays, sharks. But to do that, we need to understand why they're there. So we're looking at the oceanography of the area, deploying instrumentation to measure the currents and the temperature and the salinity of the water. And you've then got to get the equipment back, which is a bit of a challenge at times. The final clip is from work I was doing in the Arctic, where we were looking at how turbulent the flows are directly beneath ice-covered surfaces. So if you had an oil spill in that area, how would it spread out? So as I said, you can see that all of those activities involve teams of people, and all of those people are in the broadest sense. And you can see that there's a lot of diversity there in the range of activities and environments. And so marine science encompasses a really, really broad range of different topics. So just to give a little flavour of a few of the major issues in the world today, I'm just going to talk briefly about these topics of climate, conservation, resources, and energy. In terms of climate, we're becoming very much aware of the changing climate due to greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, raising global temperatures, leading to melting of ice caps, which then leads to large-scale changes like rising sea levels. But at a more local scale, that then leads to increased storminess, which then impacts on our coastlines, leading to erosion. And so we need to be able to forecast and predict how these changes may be impacting on local systems, so we can try and manage or mitigate against those. But as well as the global and the regional scales, climate is also having an impact at the micro scale. This image shows coral polyps, which are impacted by the changing acidification of the oceans. So as carbon dioxide dissolves into the seawater, then it changes its pH, and that makes it harder for these organisms to actually build their skeletons. So given these broad-scale changes that are occurring, there's a growing interest in conservation, how to effectively manage marine systems so that they can maintain the diversity of the organisms within them. But to do that effectively, we need to have a really good understanding of the biology, the physics, and the chemistry within these systems. And on top of that, we've then got to consider how people can minimize their impact on things. And that can be in the form of pollution, in this case, ghost fishing gear, capturing unintentionally organisms, or it can be in how other chemical pollutants enter the environment. In this case, an image of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. So how can these be managed and mitigated against to protect our environment? We also need to understand how to make use of the resources of the marine environment, but in a way that minimizes the negative impacts. So this image shows bycatch. So these are creatures that have been caught unintentionally when fishing, in this case for shrimp. So how could the fishing practices be changed to minimize the negative impact on these other organisms? This image shows a less well-known area. These are the dark objects are manganese nodules, which are perhaps up to grapefruit size objects on the seabed, which form naturally there of minerals precipitated out of the seawater. And they contain relatively high concentrations of rare metals that are important for modern technology. So there's an increasing interest and engineering capability now to excavate these from the deep sea. But what are the negative impacts on the environment? And also in terms of managing resources, that can be also how else people use the marine environment. So here, where you've got thousands of people using our coastline for recreational activities, how can that be managed in a way that, again, is minimizing the impact on the environment, but also done in a way that is safe? And an area of work at the University of Plymouth is to work with the RNLI to help them predict the formation of rip currents on the UK beaches, which can form a very significant safety hazard to beachgoers in the summer. Through to how we can extract energy from the marine environment. Now, traditionally, that has been in the form of fossil fuels extracted from beneath the seabed. And we need to understand the marine system to be able to do that safely and effectively. So how big are the waves going to be? How strong are the currents going to be? So that you can then manage the operations. But in recent years, there's been a real push towards renewable energy sources. And with the growth of offshore wind, again, there are similar requirements to understand the wind, the wave, and the tidal characteristics in the area that these are being installed. But also then what are perhaps the negative impacts of installing these large structures into the environment? How does that change the oceanography of the area or the sediment transport of the area? But while you're installing these structures, could you also make them slightly different to encourage them to become juvenile nursery grounds for commercially important fish, for example? And there's also a push towards using the tides as a source of energy. Now, the advantage of tides over wind is that they're very predictable many years and decades into the future. So if you can overcome the challenges of installing turbines in tidal flows, then you get a very reliable source of energy available to you. But again, what are the negative impacts of this in terms of perhaps collision risk with marine animals when you're installing these turbines actually in the water? So from this very quick overview, what I hope you see is that marine science has really got a very significant and growing number of unsolved challenges. And so it's really an excellent time to be starting on a career within the marine science area. And this is what the staff at the University of Plymouth also do. We undertake our own research into many of these different aspects that I've touched upon, ranging from coastal processes through to understanding the distribution of marine mammals, through to larger scale oceanographic processes, and then how that science can then feed into policy and influence political decisions. And the work that we do is delivered via two research centres, Coastal and Ocean Science and Engineering and Marine and Coastal Policy Research. And in the last research assessment exercise that was carried out nationally, more than 85% of our research was found to be world leading or internationally excellent. And now we're going to take a quick look at the structure of our marine science degrees. So if there's one that you're particularly interested in, then take a note of the colour. So that's red for ocean exploration and surveying, green for marine conservation, blue for oceanography and coastal processes. And if you're interested in the minor pathway, so that's with geography or geology, then those options are underlined. With all these different degrees, our overarching aim has been to develop a program which prepares our graduates to be employable so that they know what they're doing, they're aware of the complexity of the marine environments, the pressures that are placed upon them, and how they can then manage those sustainably by informing political decisions. So just to set out some of the differences in the areas that we're going to be talking about, and also to compare them with other marine degrees that you might be interested in, I've tried to set out here the different subject areas and how they kind of overlap. So in bold are the different titles of the degree program. So you can pick out the coastal processes, the oceanography, the exploration and surveying as being a fairly separated area. But there are overlaps between all of them, between the physical, the chemical, the biological aspects. You might also be interested in the minor pathways, and you'll see later on that the minor pathways take only a subset of the options that are available. So you might want to consider how much marine you want to be doing in relation to the amount of geology or geography that you're doing. And you might also be interested in doing one of the marine biology programs. So here you can kind of see the overlapping areas between the marine biology degrees, the marine biology and oceanography, and the marine biology and coastal ecology. And some of our modules are shared between those programs, but they're quite distinct from the main parts of the marine science area. So this is the kind of the modular structure of our degree. We start on the left with a foundation program for those entering with non-standard qualifications. And then we have stage 1, stage 2. There's an optional work placement year, which is called stage 3. And then our final taught year is stage 4. And all of the stages are broken down into these blocks or modules. There are normally 6 different modules in each year, with a double module in the final year, which is our independent research project. The blue colour indicates that these are specified core modules, which everyone is taking. And then those in grey are options which are aligned with the particular degree program that you're on, and then the black boxes indicate a free choice out of a range of different module options. So you can see that stage 1 is entirely core, and that's because up until this point people won't have studied much marine science at all, and so there's this shared common first year of our main degrees, which enables you to kind of make an informed decision at that point, the end of stage 1, before branching out across stage 2 and then into stage 4. So just to give a very quick overview of each of the years, foundation year is study skills for higher education, basic science foundation, and then relating those to current issues in marine science. Stage 1 is made up of core knowledge and skills, and so this is introductions to physical, chemical, biological, and exploration of the ocean, alongside developing your skills and techniques in measuring the marine environment and also doing mapping. And these encompass things like taking measurements out in the field and then analysing and presenting the data that you collect. To stage 2, this is furthering the core knowledge and skills, but then introducing some specialisation depending upon the particular pathway that you're going along. So in the first half of the year, there's a core module of global ocean processes and a techniques module of monitoring the marine environment. And then there's a choice of different options out of marine remote sensing, meteorology, scientific diving. I'll say a few more words about that later. And then through into the second half of the year is researching the marine environment, is developing your expertise and techniques in research which build into the final year project, and then taking an option which is steered by the pathway that you're on, either in mapping human impacts on the marine environment or physical oceanography of waves, tides, and coastal dynamics. And you would then select a second out of those modules as well. Stage 3 is an optional work placement opportunity. So if you undertake work placement of sufficient duration in a relevant area, then you can obtain a certificate of industrial experience, which is added onto your degree certificate. Currently, around maybe 10% of our students undertake that optional work placement. And then through into stage 4. So this is our final taught year. A major part of this, 1/3 of this, is made up of our research project. We're very keen on our students undertaking their own research, and with the support of an academic advisor, you can choose the topic of that, and then collect your own data and then analyse that and present that in the form of a dissertation and presentation at the end of the year. Alongside these, we have a residential field course, and then there are options associated with the pathways across a very wide range of different topics, and then a free choice as well of other modules to complement those. So the approach that we take to our teaching and your learning is to use a very wide range of different activities, from lectures through to smaller group workshops, through field work out on the boats or our shorelines, or in the laboratory, and using projects, perhaps individually or in groups as well. We try and set really varied and authentic assessments so that our graduates are then well equipped for the workplace. Alongside academic activities, we also have a personal tutoring system where our students meet individually with an academic who follows them throughout their time at the university and provides academic and also career mentoring support. Alongside our students developing an understanding of the theoretical aspects of marine science, at Plymouth we're very keen to get our students hands-on and able to gain experience in collecting data, analysing data, presenting it and interpreting it. So that full cycle which enables them to be useful marine scientists. The pictures here are from our Stage 2 research methods module, where our, in this case, marine conservation students are getting hands-on with remotely operated vehicles, which are used to undertake video survey work in the Sound. And through practical work, you also develop really good transferable skills in teamwork and communication, problem solving, and also planning. And these all set you up for your final year research project as well. In your final year, you'll also participate in a residential field course, and the location of this is dependent upon the degree pathway that you're on. So for ocean science and marine conservation students, they're able to participate in the Bahamas field course. You need to pay for your airfare to and from the site, but once there, all of the costs and accommodation are covered. And there you would learn to survey in very different environments to the local Plymouth environments that we have available. So mangroves, corals, learning about those ecosystems and specialist survey methods. Our second field course, which is available to all degree programs, is based at Sundays River on the southern Cape of South Africa. Again, all on-site costs are covered within the standard fee, but you need to arrange your own air travel. Once there, our students working alongside researchers from the local university study the coastal processes of physical oceanography and ecology of the estuarine dune and extensive beach system that's there. Our final field course is based on the Isles of Scilly, and this is available to any student at no additional cost. So all of the travel and accommodation from Plymouth is included. And here we charter local boats to undertake oceanographic and hydrographic and environmental survey work of the surrounding coastal waters. You may have also seen that there's a scientific diving option in our Stage 2, and this is available to anyone who has an HSE professional scuba qualification. So that's a UK Health and Safety Executive professional diving qualification. And those are available from commercial organisations external to the university, but it is also possible to undertake an HSE professional scuba training course in the summer between Stage 1 and Stage 2. And there are additional costs and limited places associated with this, and more information is available on our website. So what do our marine science graduates do? They go into a very wide range of different careers, some very specialist through to more general graduate careers. So in oceanography, surveying, conservation, the offshore industry, exploration for hydrocarbons, but also marine renewables, in research and consultancy, modelling, and also monitoring jobs. Example is Martin Goff, who's now a senior oceanographer at a very large multinational organization called Fugo Geos, who really highlights the fact that we take our students through the full cycle of getting hands-on, collecting data, analyzing it, reporting on it, in preparing him for his career that has now progressed to a senior level in that organization. So I hope this has given you at least a flavour of the marine science degree courses that we offer at the University of Plymouth. What we feel sets us apart from other organisations are set out on this list, and they range from our excellent links that we have with the wider marine science community, both within Plymouth, nationally and internationally, the excellent resources that we've got available for our teaching and our research, the way that our program has got a very strong core that develops understanding and techniques, but also has a lot of flexibility according to your developing interests as you go through it. And alongside those, it's our real support that we provide our students in terms of their personal academic and career development. So if you'd like to find out more, we've got a whole series of newsletters that are available to download from our website. And these contain much more detail about the field courses and also about the research projects our students are doing, but also the research that our staff are undertaking. We'd much prefer to be talking with you in person, so if you do want any more information or if you've got any questions about any of our degrees, then please do get in touch.